Second Veterans AC, Tim Gross.
All right.
Hello everybody, here we do okay. Welcome to the Battersea Park once again. This time I'm doing a 5-mile race though, not a 5k race. I'm going to try the Pumas tonight, the Puma Fast-R Nitro 3s. A lot harder to get on than the Vaporfly 4s. She warmed up with the Vaporfly 4s, so yeah, an interesting strategy. And so yeah, still very sad about Daisy, but thanks for all the nice comments on my Boughton Mile video, much appreciated. Hello everybody, how are you doing okay? Welcome to another voiceover. This is the Vets AC 5-mile race. There's a series of 4 races in the summer. All the other 3 are 5Ks. We had the 5K last month and we got 2 more each month to come in June and July. So this 5-mile race is quite a nice distance, I think. I feel like it was a bit more relaxed of a race, especially having raced the mile at Boughton on the Friday. This was on the Tuesday. And I felt like a 5-mile race, it's not the sort of a race that my times mean so much to me. I think recently I ran a 32 minutes was my last one, and as it turned out I ran a whole second quicker than I did 3 years ago, so that was quite pleasing. But it sort of feels like it's a lot less pressured, and I think by the fact I went off somewhat easier in this one, well, I say easier, I think my aim was more to run an even pace and even see if I could run a slight negative split, which in the end I think I just about managed to do. And you can see that I was behind quite a few people here. The numbers on the back there are the age bands, so that's like a 75 there, and that's Amber from Epsom, the 45. I spoke to her on the line and was joking that I should be further forward, but yeah, in the end I got past her. But yeah, well run to Amber for sure. But you can see that all the other people here seem to be largely older than me. So in this sense, you kind of don't panic and think, oh, I'm running fast enough already. And it was quite a warm evening for sure. Now, they're not so warm that you feel like you needed a drink, but I do find that I quite like the sort of the slightly warmer weather. I guess the temperature was around about 20, which is quite nice for sort of early to mid-May, isn't it? But yeah, you can sort of see I'm finding a bit of a gap here. Now, this is quite a long race. I'm not going to obviously show you the whole race. I'm going to have to zoom forward a bit, but let's sort of take it through to the first K, the first mile. And already you can see a bit of a gap here. I think there's definitely less people entered the 5-mile race than they do normally. Now, I think this must be Victoria Buck from Kent AC, and obviously she's got the veterans top, the white with the black there. Now, she did get a bit ahead of me, and I thought, oh, okay, well, I'll let her go. And spoiler alert, I did actually overtake her back. You can see like on the right there's a guy just sort of like bare-chested, and then these people actually aren't in the race, and this is when it starts to get a bit confusing. So we saw our first K there. I think it was just outside 4 minutes. It was about 4:05, wasn't it? So you can see now coming to the first mile. On the right there is actually a mile mark. I'm not quite sure if it's exactly in the right place. And my mile time here is around about 6:34. I had a little bit of confusion here because I wore 2 Garmins. One read slightly short and the other read slightly long, so I kind of split in the difference. And I think the mile markers obviously dependent on whether they can actually pin something to a lamppost or a tree or something, so they might not necessarily be exactly correct. Just coming through on 2K now, and you can see the gaps are still there, pretty much even pace actually. I think a couple of 4.5s basically, more or less. So yeah, I think at this point I was feeling a nice rhythm, and yeah, a little way to go, but you can see my heart rate there is ridiculous low, isn't it? And you think, oh, it's almost alarmingly low. Should I be trying harder? But it's also a fine balance, I think, trying to get your effort right. And I think I've had so many times where I've just gone past threshold in 5Ks and blown up. So this is kind of a nice feeling that I was running fast, but I feel like I had a lot left. So yeah, that was really good. And these Pumas are quite something, I think. I wouldn't say that they're the most magic shoes ever, because I think it's always down to your legs, but compared to the Vaporfly 4s, just feel a bit more sort of response back. You know, the sometimes say like the Invincible, very nice soft foam, but you felt like you were sinking. I think there's a very slight feeling with that with the Vaporfly 3 and the Vaporfly 4, which I feel quite similar in terms of the fact that if you're going around this pace, you feel like you're just sort of working slightly against the shoe slightly, whereas with the Pumas I feel like it was sort of being bounced back more, not necessarily a spring, but a bit more like the feeling you had in the Vaporfly 1. But certainly I would recommend these Puma Fast-R Nitro 3s. I mean, I know they were hard to get, and I was lucky to get a pair. I think I was fighting with Andy FOD runner and Mike Boucher to get a 13, and somehow I must have clicked the button before them. So, but Andy's doing very well with the Deviate Nitro Elite 3s, isn't he? So I think it'll be interesting to see whether, when he does get a pair of these eventually, whether he thinks these Fast-Rs are actually better. I think they probably are. I always thought that the Nitro Elite 3, the normal one, was sort of a fairly uninteresting shoe. I've worn it a few times, it's been okay, but nothing really wowed it to me. So here we go, end of the first lap, and I think I did about 9:40 for this lap, which is the slowest of the 3 laps that I did, so that was quite nice to speed up. You can see my pace is still about the same. I don't think I'd really made a conscious effort yet to sort of speed up, although this guy here, Kevin McClear, Vet 65, so it's quite good in a way when you see coming past the people who are older than you. It also gives you motivation to think in years to come, will I still be running as fast as that when I added another 5-10 years onto me? Who's to know? Anything could happen, isn't it? But my rate of decline at the moment, I think it's just very gradual each year, but each year I feel like I'm getting more interested in just carrying on, and I'm sort of eyeing up 60 now. But I think when I get to 60, all the sort of the people around me seem to be getting ever quicker. People like Steve Winder that I interviewed earlier, and people like John Broom have suddenly found a second win as well, haven't they? So yeah, so I think this is about the time I just finally managed to get past Victoria, and yeah, maybe she was just a bit bold on that lap there. And it's quite a long way to go here, because you're best part of 2 laps to go, you're not even halfway yet, and there was also a walking race there, that's why there's a guy left there. So I think at this point I did actually get past Victoria, so let's speed it on past and see what we can see next. Just now coming up towards the 2-mile board there on the left by that bin, and I think pretty much another 6:35ish, so I'm holding form quite nicely, but there's really not many people around me. But then suddenly these 2 guys go past like I'm standing still, but then I sort of realise they must surely be doing intervals, and then here comes another guy clearly doing intervals as well. At least you hope they're doing intervals, because they came past me so quickly, it's incredible. And they actually take a left there, and it was a bit disconcerting, so I go through the line, and they're clearly not in the race, are they? And then you have to avoid those bikes there, so it was a bit of a careful turn there, but into my city strides I'm hopefully into it. So now empty road ahead of me, so let's speed it up to see if we can find somebody. So here we are coming up to the 4k point, and 5 miles of course is just a bit over 8k, so you need to add a few more bits to get the exact halfway split. Let's take our 4k time there, around about 16:21, and this guy in blue, I've been trying to sort of catch up for the whole of the last k, and I literally didn't see anybody else apart from a few walkers. So yeah, I think in this one it sort of really had to just sort of concentrate and just get my head into it, and it kind of felt familiar in a way, because I'll do most of my sessions on my own, and there's another walker there in the red on the left. So yeah, you can see that's actually more people running in the park generally than there were the race at this point, but in a way I quite like that. I just felt like it was sort of like a slightly less pressured race for a change, and one I didn't feel like I was sort of desperate to do a time, because it's a 5-mile time and it's not something you do too often. So I think eventually I catch up to this guy in blue. And yeah, it's kind of reassuring that finally reeled this guy in. And what is he, a 60? John Eubank did 33:01, which was just about a minute behind me. So as we approach the 5k point and the end of the second lap, a couple of walkers there, or maybe one guy that's temporarily stopped. So yeah, I think my lap this time was a bit quicker. I think it was around about a 9:20, so I was sped up by 20 seconds. If you look at my pace on the left, it's still just outside a sub 20 pace, but I think on this lap now we're sort of like heading towards the end of the second lap here, right at the end of that straight. Then this is the point I'm starting to feel okay, but you can see how lonely it is. I mean, that k between 4 and 5k, again I'm really hardly seeing anybody. Okay, so I finally caught up with some other runners, and look at the list here. I think this must be Eleanor Skinner. She came 39th in 32:38. And we've also got a 55 ahead of me, which I think may be Andrew Bowles, because he finished in 32:36. And then just in front there in the yellow is Anna Critchlow, who I managed to also get past. Now, interestingly, when I looked up her head-to-head, we're 6-all. So I joked to her afterwards that I think I might just edge you this time, and she said, "Oh, I didn't even realise." So sometimes you have these rivals you don't even realise. Anna's been running very well, but obviously today just must have just had the edge on her, and maybe it was my better pacing, which I think perhaps a moral to the future, that if you do pace a race well, it does actually feel so much better than it does if you go off too quickly and die horrible deceleration, shall we say. And again, now I'm back to a clear empty road ahead of me, having overtaken 3 people in quick succession. Now at this point in the race, there's a couple of people there on the right came steaming past me like I was standing still again, and then there's another chap there, but I thought surely these people are doing short intervals, because these are guys that are really motoring. They look like they're doing about a 5-minute pace. So yeah, you can see here that I've actually now ducked under a sub 25k pace, and I think I'm starting to feel quite good now, and then my heart rate's actually got up to a reasonable level in the mid 140s, and there's 2 guys ahead of me. I was thinking, I tried to work out what their numbers. I thought one of them was a 55, but I couldn't be quite sure. My eyes aren't the best. And there's another guy coming past in a Machoy kind of guise. It's interesting actually, because in the UK hardly anybody goes bare-chested, so it's kind of different when you see it in the States. In the summer they all seem to be bare-chested, but yeah, maybe the British Reserve, so it does seem odd when you see a guy going past with no top on, as it were. But just looking at the results here, I think it was Kevin Stroud and Peter Lee. Kevin's a V60 and Peter's a V55, so I was getting up to these people ever so slowly, and they're going through the 4-mile time. I think that was about my fastest mile so far, about a 6:20, and I think I finished with about a 6:14, something like that. So I was looking at these 2 ahead of me, thinking they're getting ever closer, and can I just get up to them? Can I just get up to them? And yeah, now I'm well into the last lap, and I do suddenly realise that I've got the whole of that long straight with the bandstand to do, so that's going to be an awful long way, a couple of minutes running. So when you get to the start of that straight, you've still got a long way to go, probably the best part of half a mile. So this is taking me an absolute age to get up to them, but at least now I can see the backs of their numbers, and the 55 there on the right must be Peter Lee, and the 60 is Kevin Stroud. As I said, they actually ended up finishing in a dead heat. Kevin actually got it by a split second. Both ran 32.19, and they were actually 6 seconds behind me. So it looks like at this point that Peter got a bit of a march. So I was thinking at this point, what do? Do I sit behind this guy for a while, thinking that we could actually be in contention for a reasonable place here? And I didn't realise that I was as high as potentially second in the Vets AC. I said I came 4th overall, but I think it was basically between me and Peter, as it turned out, for the 2nd and 3rd Vets AC competition. So as you can see now, I've actually gone past, and I think, well, you know, I'm feeling okay, and it's about, yeah, as I said, look here, about a K to go, but it's still a long way to go, so anything that really can happen. Was this best part of 4 minutes running, isn't it? And unfortunately my footage died in a minute, so I'll do a bit of a spoiler alert. I did actually manage to hold off those 2, and just ahead of me, well, I say just ahead of me, the next place was actually Claire Elms, the nearest I've been to her for a while, but there's a big gap. She did 31.34 and I did 32.13, and we're coming past the track now on the right, so there's not too much left of my footage. I think literally as we were about to turn left up the home straight is where my Insta died. So I got about 29 minutes out of the Insta, which is not bad, I suppose, but just goes to show that, yeah, you need to be running faster to actually record the whole of it. Anyway, it was a very pleasing race and very glad I did it. So I was rather pleased with that run tonight. I paced it rather well. I think I was aiming for about 6:30s, and I think it pretty much managed to do it. Maybe even a slight speeding up at the end. I have to go and check the splits, and I managed to get 2nd in the Veterans AC category for the M55, so I got a nice little medal. That was a bit unexpected. So yeah, those Pumas, very nice and bouncy, and yeah, sort of made the right decision, I think, to switch out the Vaporfly 4s and race in the Pumas. So yeah, I think it was my first ever race in a Puma shoe, so that's interesting as well. So I hope you found this interesting. Like and subscribe to that, and see you next one then. Bye. And people like the buys apparently. When you going?
Yeah,
Steve Winder.
Yeah, quite good considering I did the Bristol half on Sunday.
Oh really?
So legs are a bit battered from that.
You're taking to the roads a bit more this summer.
Yeah, well, there's no cross country at the moment.
That's true. Yeah,
especially doing track.
Yeah.
Focus them with the sun. Yeah, I did.
What distance are you targeting on the track?
3K steeplechase is my big target.
Really? Okay.
I want to do the Euros.
Did you used to do that when you were younger?
Yeah, but with a big gap, and now my juniors do it.
Yeah.
So I was just, joining in with them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think I did 28.50.
I was thinking that. So when I get to 60 soon, the barrier's come down.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't think I can be.
big long legs.
I'm not sure I can be more than anyway, but
You're stepping over him, Tim.
yeah. Well,
Just wandering up.
I did dabbled in it a bit when I got sort of late 30s. I got to about 9:51, I think I did. But back then I can't. Well, nowhere near that on the flat anymore. So approach the barriers a lot slower nowadays. So yeah, maybe
need a bit of momentum.
What's your time tonight?
28.15, I think.
Oh wow.
I reckon I was about 10th.
Okay. Yeah.
Probably first 50. I don't know.
Yeah, I paced it a lot better. So I sort of like I thought I had my head 6:30s, and I pretty much did it. So
and I even paced it roughly.
Yeah, and I was actually going past a few people. I actually overtook a few 55s on the back. But
Nice.
What are you these days? You're a 50. Oh, okay, yeah.
Got 6 months to get to
People like
55.
Joseph and Terry and all these people, and at least Mark's 60 now.
No, Terry's
Yeah. No, it's we can't turn up for a race, can he? Well, nobody does. But
I think he did half marathon on Sunday.
Right, he's getting a bit keen in the half marathon.
I think he did Ranelagh. So
Okay, yeah.
it's
That's a long way for Terry.
tired legs. He's defying the age barrier, and he's actually getting faster.
I know.
I think I'm doing all right by not slowing
Well,
down.
you're not.
He's getting quicker.
I mean, you're running probably better than you were when I first knew you in terms of you haven't changed much, have you?
No, it's age grade.
28 minutes. Yeah. When the last one? I didn't run 20 minutes. I ran 28 minutes about 2008, something like that.
I think I ran this in 26.50 2 years ago, but that wasn't after a half. So I made good legs that day.
True. Yeah. Well, I can see it.
What about you on the track?
Well, I've started to. I did a road mile on Friday just to sort of get my head in it, and it was. I did a 2:33.800, and then finished at 5:31. So I was, in a way, I was more pleased with my 800 than my final time, but my 5:31 was better than I thought it was going to do. So it gives me encouragement, especially also the fact that I can actually got some leg speed there. So
You must be able to do like a sub 2:25.800, I think, based on.
Yeah, I think one of my aims is to get my all-time age graded, but I think I need about 2:22. So I haven't done that since 2020, but it's not impossible.
It's about the shape I'm in.
And if you're in the race, you might give me incentive. Yeah, but anyway, so I don't have any keeping up with you all.
Let's get one booked in, Tim.
When's the 800 the Vets League? Is that the next one?
There's, I don't know. Unfortunately, I've got a big run the day before that, so I am going to do the Vets League.
Oh, okay.
I've got one of those vet leagues, I've got 30k the day before.
Oh, the British Masters Trail.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're a sort of former champion, aren't you? You're
I won
champion.
that. I won that last couple of years, I think. So
I'd rather you than me. That.
it doesn't go well with the 8 though, does it?
Not really compatible event, is it? Yeah. Mind you, one year I did the marathon and did an 800 and realised that they aren't very compatible either. Yeah.
No.
Although back in the day, when I did 2.7 for 800, and nowadays I think I'm a bit static with that, but I feel like I was joking back then.
I reckon you can get 220. I hope I'll see you one soon, Jet.
Yeah, well, good to see you.
Cheers, mate.
So Mark Tennyson from Guildford and Godalming. One day I might beat him again, but tonight you're just over 30.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, I'll get this slightly nearer because I did about 32.10. So it was a bit of a run for me tonight. I was a bit
Well done.
happy.
Sweet finish. Give you a cheer.
Yeah. It was deceptive, wasn't it? Because we had to do this bit from the bandstand down there.
It's not like the
And I
fight.
realised halfway around that was the case. I thought, I can need to say something for that last sprint.
Sure.
So yeah.
Do the whole length of Central Way race for the 5K. You finished halfway.
Yeah, it's a finishing place in a way, isn't it? So, yeah.
Well, otherwise.
Not too bad. I did a mile race on Friday. A bit sunny as my cat died on day after.
The cat went missing.
Yeah, they went missing, yeah. So finally used up all their 9 lives, I think, sadly, yeah. So Daisy, yeah. I think she might have had a refresh when she was away for 6 weeks, but yeah, sadly now. Then we were kind of hoping that she'd come back. Now, yeah, but yeah. We'll probably get another cat eventually, but we've had an extension being built, so it's not really great time at the moment. The house is still in pale, so yeah, but do miss the cat there.
Yeah, part of the family, aren't they?
Yeah. Have you got one?
Get used to their routine. Used to have cats, so we have a dog at the moment. Collie.
Oh, okay.
Collie.
Yeah.
That's quite challenging.
Oh, okay, cool. Recording. Yeah, it's good. I'm recording.
Very good.
Yeah. All right, good to see them.
Likewise.